From the editor of the West Mind podcast, it's recommended to listen to the West Mind podcast at 2x speed for the enjoyment of your listening experience.
Hello, it's me, Clinton, and this is the Words of Mind podcast. I'm so glad you're here. The Words of Mind podcast has been an audio only podcast for the last 2 years since I started it. And when I started it, I never thought that I would ever release a video episode. I thought at first I thought I was gonna quit eventually. I thought a lot of people were or like not a lot of people, but when I say a lot of people, I mean like three or two people were gonna say, "Oh, that podcast is really chuggy," and I thought, like with people saying that, I would like say, "Oh, people think I'm not cool because of this podcast," then I would stop because usually that's what happens. I start something and then people give their commentary or people comment on it or people give their opinions on it and not listen but I stop it because I don't want those people's comments to affect me because there are a lot of things that already affect me in my day to day. I don't want what those people are saying about what I'm doing to affect me. So I'll just like do what I believe every single person around me is doing and getting social points from. Like, for example, just being quiet and like sitting in the sidelines. And when I started this podcast at first, I know I've said this multiple times, and if you're a recurring listener, if you're someone who listens to the podcast every week, I'm talking to new people, but like I started this podcast because I wanted to like document my thoughts from my 20s till the day I die, which if you listen to my episode last year was I'll be dead at 27. But that was just a joke. Who knows? I don't know when I'm gonna die. Sometimes I tell people I want to die at 25, but yeah. So that's why I started the podcast. But when I said it, I really wanted to record my thoughts and like my journey from my 20s till my 80s or till the day I die, whatever. That's the real reason I started the podcast, not because I want notoriety or fame. And then that was like my thoughts only. And I was listening to old episodes over the break, the holiday, like the holiday break. And I was like, this is so young. I can't even listen to young me from last year. No, from 2 years ago. And I was like, why did I talk about this? And then when I released it, I thought it was like groundbreaking and like every single thing I was saying was on point. But that's truly what I wanted to capture, like my thoughts at that stage of my life, if that makes sense. And with this video episode, I want to capture myself gradually getting older, week by week. Like obviously, we'll not notice any difference in like a year, but when this video podcast becomes 3 years old and the podcast is like 5 years old and I watch this very first video, I look significantly younger than the way I would look 3 years from now, obviously. It's like that's why I want to capture. That's why I want not capture. That's why I want to yeah, that's why I want to capture. That's why I want my podcast, the essence of the podcast to be. I want it to be a documentation of my life so far. So you're meeting me in the start of my third year, and by the end of this year, this podcast is gonna be 3 years. So this is like the start of 3 years, and it's so cool and unique seeing how diverse my thoughts has been. I'm pretty sure when I started this podcast, and this sounds really cliche, but I'm pretty sure when I started the Where's My podcast. I liked Selena Gomez. I'm pretty sure. And I don't like Selena Gomez anymore. Or maybe I did not. I don't know. I can't remember. But that's like a very simple example. But I'm Team Haley now. But I know I'm Team I don't care anymore. Like before I cared a lot. Or like when I started this podcast, I cared a lot about appearing really wholesome and like holy and like not there's nothing bad with like appearing holy and wholesome. But now I'm not thinking of I'm talking about this today and like the whole like every single person who knows me who would ever like click on this video or like because I'm gonna promote it will think I'm awkward or weird. Like I still care. I'm never gonna say I don't care, but like it's not as much as I used to care when I was like starting the podcast. Does that make sense? And it's just a relief to know that oh, I don't need to like care about this stuff as much as I did when I was a kid or when I started the podcast fresh. And yeah, my hands they move a lot. So I'm so sorry if my hands are like moving everywhere, but I'm gonna try as much as possible not to move my hands when I'm like talking to you and like talking on this podcast because I feel it distracts people. And when it's necessary, I will move my hand. So as a kid, I never thought like when I was going through this, when I was like struggling with this secret as a kid, I always thought it could be fixed. I could work on this so much, and I'm not gonna tell anybody because nobody needs to know. And eventually I will fix it because I am strong enough. Like I would never succumb to letting people know that I have the secret. And it started from like school. That was the very first time I noticed that I had this problem. I and at the end of the day, it's not a problem. And you might think I thought it was a problem for the longest time. And if you're younger, you might think, oh, you have a problem because every single person doesn't have this problem. You might be the only person in your class or maybe in your whole school who has that problem. And it was not like it was something that was really embarrassing to like say to like people growing up because like telling people you had this problem felt like you were choosing to be defeated. Like you never like it when for me at least it I felt like oh if I tell someone that I have this issue, they will think they're better than me away. Does that make sense? And as someone who has struggled with it is like my whole life, I'm like I'm gonna say my whole life because I can't remember the first part. But like the first memory I have of this situation, of this problem, not problem of this stuff was when I was 7 and I was in my class and in my classroom, like we have like books. And in this book, it had like different characters. And you like obviously not like we were like 30, 20 in a class. I can't remember how many people were in the class, but it would be like 5 people will volunteer to read and sometimes the whole class goes silent because people are too nervous to read. But I thought everybody was like me and they did not really like ultimately they like I thought everyone was like me. And they like then I thought because no, this was when I was 7. I thought everyone was like me and they did not know how to read because I was like, oh, I'm not dumb. Like I'm not dumb. Like everybody is like the same. And then you see like one person lift their hands and the other person lifts their hands and like the teacher like picks 3 other people to like read. And every single time I was hoping never to be that person. Like then when I got to secondary school and I figured out what I had, but I was not like it was not certain because I did not like tell anybody around me. I was just like struggling in silence. And like if I did not understand, I would not tell anybody. Like I don't know how to explain it. And I had like private tutors. I don't know how they did not know because they were getting paid. Anyways, I don't know how they did not notice. But I don't know. Wait, how did they not notice? That's so strange. And then I was like, still now, I was like learning to like when I learned new words, I was memorizing the words. I was not like learning how the word sounded. If that makes sense. It's like now as an adult that if I find a very new word I've never seen before, I sound this out. Does that make sense? Like yeah, whatever. So I did not know, like I don't. Anyways, I did not know for the longest time, and I thought, oh, I may have a problem. And I know I always told myself I had the problem because I like every single person like this is in secondary school. I'm saying like so much, but like this is in secondary school, and everyone knew how to like read fluently, and I was like, and I was struggling so much because I was dyslexic, and I did not know I was dyslexic until I left secondary school, and I was like, this is still a problem. I thought like eventually I was gonna like fix this problem, and it was not fixed because ultimately that was the way I was designed. And I was like really bummed out and really sad that I was going to go through my whole life with this diagnostic condition without ever being able to fix it. And then I joined the church. This is like my old church, and at the church you like go to like home cell, and at the home cell you like read Bible verse. And for me, if I have not seen like a text before, it's like I'm going to explain this to you. Like the words don't jump around. But if I've not seen a text before, if I've not seen like a word before, it could destroy my whole reading flow. Like, I don't know, like there's nothing for me to read here. But if okay, like every single thing on my screen here, I wrote it down. I know what I'm talking about. So I can read it out. I my brain knows the words. But if I'm reading like the Bible, for instance, or if I'm reading like an article, or if I'm reading a book and I've never seen the word before, like that whole sentence, like the flow, like my flow, like goes really like it destroys my flow. It destroys my flow for like like multiple sentences until like I can like pick myself back up with like because I know every single word there. Does that make sense? And if I am reading like a new text, especially, I am super duper slow and I have to like read it multiple times to like understand it. Because if I've not like been introduced to like the term or like whatever that says, it's really difficult for me to understand what's like. Does that make sense? Like if I was like there's a word I spoke about existentialism last year, and when I spoke about existentialism, I knew of the word, but I've never like researched existentialism as a topic. And when I was reading the book Existentialism, there were like a lot of words and like a lot of like things that I could not understand. And I said it in the episode. I did not say read the reason why I did not understand the book then. I read the book only once, so we all know I did not understand that book. But the reason why I could not understand the book was because fully I understand the concept, the book. I understand the main theme the book was trying to push. But the reason why I could not understand the book fully is because I'm dyslexic and I have to like read it multiple times. Like sometimes I have to read something 5 times to understand what they're saying. Like truly understand what they're saying and like be able to give like an opinion on it or like critically analyze it or like contradict it because there's some stuff that you read that you don't totally like agree with. And with videos, I don't know, it doesn't affect me as much of it. It does sometimes, but not as much as text. Like if I'm listening to a podcast, like I can like re-listen. That's why when I started my like journey of like improving my intelligence, I listened to a lot of podcasts because my dyslexia was like really strong. Like it was really tough to like get over. I still have it. Like it's never gonna leave me. But yeah. And then like talking about having this then was really difficult to tell people because if you told people they would I don't know the media around like dyslexia then and now I'm not saying it's better but like the media around then was like oh your words are jumbling like your like the words have to literally move for you to be known as a dyslexic person and I was like my words don't move. I don't just know that word. I don't but I'm like my words are not moving. I don't just know what that says. Like I can't even sound it out because like it was so strange. Like my auntie, bless her heart, because like she did not know. And because like I could not and I was younger then, I could not explain and I had a good enough memory to fake it. Like if you don't tell someone you have a problem, no matter like especially if you have like good communication skills, they would never know you had that problem. Like nobody would ever know. Like until you eventually tell them that, oh, I find it really hard to like read words I've never seen before. And I hope that makes sense. I hope I hope this is relatable to like someone and you go check yourself for dyslexia. And I hope you have a lovely day. No, we're not ending this podcast here because this is the first episode of 2025, and I promise to release an episode every single week, except for the weeks I'm taking a break, which will be maybe in the summer. And because I don't know, probably I think I'm gonna take a break only in the summer this year. I don't think I'm gonna take a break in December like I did in 2024. I'm gonna say my ins and out list for 2025. Reading is gonna be in my ins list. Podcasts are gonna be on my ins list. Oh yeah, being nice to people, going out, um, reaching out to people. Those are all in my ins list. My outs list. Instagram is gonna be on my outs list for like 2 months. No, 4 months for my outs list. Staying home too much is gonna be on my outs list. Junk food is gonna be on my outs list, and not being consistent on the podcast. Obviously, I'm consistent, but like not like missing a week here and there. It's gonna be on my out list, and also making fun of people. I still struggle with that. Okay, that's my ins and out list for 2024. Sorry, for 2025. I hope we learn a lot this year, and I hope to increase my viewers this year, and I hope to capture new avenues this year, and I hope to get like, I hope I can interview 2 or more people this year in topics I feel are interesting in my mind, but get insights from other people. And yeah, truly, that's all that has been on my mind. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.